You are listening to the audio production of A Holy Fear, Trading Lesser Fears for the Fear of the Lord by Christina Fox, published by Audiobooks. This book was originally published by Reformation Heritage Books and is read by the author. To my mother-in-law Judy, who taught me the joy of fearing the Lord in the face of lesser fears. Safe in Him, our tall tower. The name of the Lord is a tall tower. The righteous run to it and are safe. Proverbs 18:10. When fear rolls in like a storm cloud and overshadows my mind, I freeze and cower like a prey, my thoughts jumbled and confined. I quit before I ever start. The journey is danger-filled. All the unknowns, risks, and what-ifs, life pauses at a standstill. I live an observer of life, watching time pass on by me, while my fears consume and control. How I long to be set free. Then I open your word and read of one good and full of grace, the great I Am who keeps and saves and calls me before His face. He rules and reigns over all. None can thwart His will and plan. All creation bows before Him. None can snatch me from His hand. Before Him all fear fades and shrinks at Yahweh's might and power. When we fear Him above all else, we're safe in Him, our tall tower. Christina Fox. Preface. Dear friend, have you ever had a conversation with someone that you never forgot? For the other person, it may not have been remarkable, but for you, it was memorable, even life-changing. In my life, one such conversation took place between my mother-in-law and me. A number of years ago, our family went to a theme park together. I spent much of my time standing at the exit to each ride, waiting for my children to come out and tell me how amazing it was. At one point, my mother-in-law and I stood beneath a ride that was high in the air. I casually commented that, since having children, I found myself having difficulty with heights. As I looked at the ride towering above me, I could already feel my stomach drop. My mother-in-law commented, I used to have a lot of fears, but since the worst thing imaginable happened and God brought me through it, I don't have much to fear anymore. It was a brief interchange, and probably one I would have forgotten but for the fact that I had so many fears in my life. I couldn't get her comment out of my mind, and it spurred me on to consider what it might look like to have less fear. It made me think about her widowhood at a young age and her testimony of God's grace in her life over the years since, of her faith and trust in who God is and what He has done. And I considered how a person progresses from having a great fear of things and circumstances to a great trust in our great God. And that led me to study the fear of the Lord. This book is about fear. It's an emotion we are all familiar with to one degree or another. While this book does touch on some of the fears we experience in this life, such as the fear of harm or of the future, the emphasis of the book is on a greater fear, the fear of the Lord. The Bible teaches us that to overcome our fear of lesser things, we must replace it with something greater. And what could be greater than God? You might consider this book a systematic theology of sorts on the fear of the Lord. I will unpack what the Bible has to say about it. I will look at what it means to fear the Lord, why we're to fear the Lord, how to grow in that fear, the fruit of such fear in our lives, God's promises to those who fear Him, and what it looks like to trade our lesser fears for the fear of the Lord. An additional note for those who experience fear. We are not just physical beings, nor are we only spiritual beings. We are both, and as such, each aspect of our being affects the other. This means that our fears can affect us physically, or vice versa. Physical conditions that influence our moods, medication side effects, hormonal fluctuations, and lack of sleep can also affect our emotions. In addition, for people who have experienced trauma in their life, their bodies remember that
Sample complete. Ready to continue?